You've probably heard the same career advice your whole life. Pick one thing, specialize, stay in your lane, go all in. And if you have a lot of interests, people make it sound even worse. Like your curiosity is the problem. Like your range means you're confused. Like if you haven't locked into one clean identity by now, you're already behind. But here's the truth. That advice was built for a different world. And if you keep forcing a multi-interest brain into a one-track career model, you will keep feeling stuck, guilty, and weirdly underused. Not because you lack talent, because you are using the wrong map. So if you've ever looked at your life and thought, I could do something great if I could just figure out what, stay with me. Because by the end, I'll show you why having many interests is not your weakness. What an M-shaped career actually is, and the one strategy that turns scattered potential into something real. First, we need to kill the biggest lie. People act like there are only two types of careers. Either you go deep into one thing and become the expert, or you stay all over the place and never build anything solid. That is way too simplistic. Yes, there is the classic specialist path, one deep lane, one clear identity. That works well in stable environments where the rules stay the same and repetition pays off. But look at the world now. Industries shift fast, tools change fast, attention changes fast. Even job titles keep changing. This is not a world that only rewards narrow expertise. It also rewards people who can connect dots, translate between fields, and solve problems from more than one angle. That is where people like you come in. Here's the trap. If you have a lot of interests, you can end up becoming what feels like a human sampler platter. A little psychology, a little business, a little design, a little storytelling, a little tech. Enough to sound interesting, not enough to feel secure. That creates panic. Because deep down, you know being curious is not the same thing as being valuable. So let's make this clear. The goal is not to know a little about everything. The goal is not to crush all your interests into one identity. And the goal is definitely not to run 10 career paths at once until you burn out. The goal is to build shape. Think of the old model as I-shaped. One deep pillar, one obvious lane. Now picture the opposite problem. Wide but shallow. Lots of interests. No real depth. No clear leverage. That is where many multi-interest people get stuck. The better model is M-shaped. That means real depth in more than one area, with the ability to connect those areas in a way that becomes rare and useful. Not random curiosity. Connected depth. That difference changes everything. Maybe one pillar is marketing, another is psychology, another is storytelling. Now you are not just someone with too many interests. You are someone who understands attention, behavior, and messaging at the same time. Maybe one pillar is design, another is business, another is human behavior. Now you can build things people actually want and explain why they want them. That is the power of the M-shape. Not doing everything, combining the right things. Midway reminder, subscribe to Brain Catalyst for Psychology that helps you decode people. And now here's the part that really matters. If you have many interests, stop organizing your career around subjects. Organize it around the kinds of problems you solve. This is where clarity finally starts. Because I like writing, strategy, branding, psychology, and speaking is not a career. That is a pile. But I help people understand ideas, trust them, and take action is a career direction. See the difference? One is a list. The other is a function. Write this down. Stop asking what your one thing is. Start asking what your different skills help you do better than average. That question is gold. Now let's fix the next thing that keeps people stuck. Choice paralysis. A lot of multi-interest people think choosing one path means killing the rest of themselves. So they delay, they overthink, they keep everything open. And years go by. But choosing for now is not choosing forever. That line alone can calm your whole nervous system. You do not need a forever decision. You need a seasoned decision. Pick one pillar to build first, not because it is your soulmate skill, because it is the right skill for this season. Maybe it gives you income. Maybe it gives you momentum. Maybe it has the most energy around it right now. Whatever the reason, choose one lane to deepen for the next 6 to 18 months. Long enough to become fluent, long enough to stop being a dabbler, long enough to build real confidence. Then when that pillar is stable, you deliberately start building the next one. That is not quitting, that is sequencing, and that is how M-shaped people actually win. Not by chasing everything at once, by building depth in series. And another hard truth, your day job does not always need to be your full identity. For some multi-interest people, the smartest move is not a high-drama dream job that eats their entire brain. It is a stable role that pays the bills, builds one strong pillar, and leaves enough mental space to develop the next layer of their future. That matters more than people realize. A job can be a platform, not a prison. A paycheck can buy freedom, not just survival. And one more thing, your brain probably generates more ideas than your current life can hold. So if you keep every interest in your head, it turns into mental traffic. You need an external system. Notes, voice memos, Notion, Obsidian, a simple document, whatever works. Because the smartest thing about multi-interest people is often not the interest itself. It is the unexpected connection that shows up years later. But that only works if you capture your sparks instead of letting them disappear. So here is the best career strategy. If you have too many interests, build one paid pillar, develop the next one on purpose, keep a system for your ideas, and focus on the problems your skill stack helps you solve. That is how your range stops feeling like chaos. That is how curiosity becomes leverage. And that is how a person who feels all over the place becomes almost impossible to replace. You were never meant to be just one thing. You were meant to build a career that makes your combinations count. Comment M-shape if you're done apologizing for your many interests and ready to turn them into your advantage.